Welcome to the Brett Davis Podcast.
Well, good morning, everybody. Of course, nobody really ever knows what time we're on. We're kind of a hodgepodge of times because we keep it nice and fresh. But the nice thing about the interviews is we always put them on our website so people can go back and review and hear the great interviews that we have. I'm Brett Davis, of course, at the Brett Davis Podcast. As the sirens are going by, because they know we're on the air with somebody that's just an amazing individual, Greg Justice. But hold on for 1 second, Greg. I'd like to thank Attorney King, of course, for everything he does in supporting our podcast, as well as Marina Teal of IB Fitness, and of course, Saquon Casino and Resort. Am I leaving anybody else? There's a lot of people. I guess some new ones are coming, I guess. Okay. I'm very honored today, of course. I have a gentleman that accolades that if I read all of them, the podcast would be over. We would never get a chance to talk. Greg Justice, how are you doing?
Brett, I'm doing very well. It's always good to talk to you.
Always a great talking with you. And Hall of Fame, Health and Fitness Hall of Fame?
National Fitness Hall of Fame, along with my good buddy Lalanne the same year, 2017.
And also, of course, state judo champion and also state wrestling champ.
Many years ago for both of those.
You know, it's hard even to get one of those.
Well, you know, it's fun. And if you enjoy doing something, it makes it worth it.
You also have an apparatus, a piece of equipment. Tell us a really quick thing about that. And we're going to talk about this amazing book, Pride and Discipline.
Well, yeah, and it kind of all ties into Pride and Discipline with Jack Lalanne, because he was such an avid rope climber, using your body weight to propel yourself, whether it be pushing or pulling, and the endless rope, which is an amazing piece of equipment. It's been around for 20 plus years, and it is the original endless rope product. There are some others on the market, but none of them come close to our products. We've got two of them, the vertical and the horizontal, and they're just an amazing piece of equipment, and I couldn't be more thrilled to be part of that group.
So how did you get involved with that? I mean, because you have so many different expertise in so many areas, and that probably would help, I would think, develop, or at least help develop something of this magnitude.
Well, I was contacted by their CEO, who is a good friend of mine. When he became the CEO, he called me and asked me to come down and analyze the piece of equipment and be part of a infomercial. When I went down there, I had used a lot of the other endless rope, quote unquote, endless rope products. So I thought I knew what I was getting into. The first time I pulled on that rope, it was so authentic. It felt, and I'm a big advocate of rope climbing. I think it's a terrific exercise in general. When I started pulling on that rope, it was different than all the others on the market. And I told my friend, who again was the CEO, is the CEO, that I didn't want to just be a fitness face of the product. I wanted to be a partner in the business. And so we quickly struck a deal. And I've been a partner in the business now for a little over a year. And I just couldn't be more thrilled to represent the product and be a part of the partnership with the other guys.
Well, I haven't tried it yet, but I'm looking forward to. Is there one in San Diego?
Yeah. At our my buddy Todd Durkin at Fitness Quest 10.
Legendary Todd Durkin.
Legendary Todd Durkin, who actually was one of the interviewees of Pride and Discipline. He won the Jack Lalanne Legacy Award through
IDEA. That's right.
In 2000, I believe it was 2017, when he won the Lifetime Achievement Award, which is the Jack Lalanne Legacy Award through IDEA. Yeah.
Well, he is a perfect candidate for that, and he's touched a lot of lives. And he's an amazing. I think I've met him a couple times through the years, and would love to interview him sometime, because
absolutely,
he has inspired so many. And I can't imagine how many more people, especially with this crazy pandemic, that have lost their way, and even the new younger generation that's really lost right now more than ever. We need Todd Durkins, and we need Jack Lalanne's and Greg Justice more than ever.
Well, you know, Jack Lalanne was my original mentor in the industry. And Todd Durkin is my current mentor in the industry. And it's interesting because Jack Lalanne was a lot older than I, And Todd Durkin is 10 years younger than I, but
Wow.
it just goes to show that whatever age you are, you can impact others and you can be impacted by others. So I'm just thrilled to work with Todd on a one-on-one level and a group level. And he and I have partnered in some things, and we're partnering in some more things. And he's just a man of vision, and much like Jack Lalanne, as a visionary. And I look to follow people that have a vision that can help me achieve my vision, and that we can collaborate together.
As you know, we've talked about this. A lot of people try to do everything,
Yes.
and I think in my mind, I don't think with time the way it is, I don't think it's possible to do that, is it?
Well, a lot of people try and they do everything poorly. I think the key is to find things that you have great passion for, understand your limitations, and then be willing to hire out the things that we had just had a little conversation about this before the broadcast began. But yeah, find the things that you are very good at, do those things, and then bring people on your team that can help support you with the things that you either don't want to do, don't like to do, or aren't competent in doing well.
Absolutely. So, had you always had it in your mind because Jack was such a huge, and of course Lelaine, both of them are a package deal. I mean, one without the
Yeah,
other. I mean, I don't know what Jack would have done without her, to be honest
truly.
with you. I think she's a mighty mite in herself.
Yeah.
Behind every good man is a phenomenal woman, a great woman. She's beyond even that. She's got the energy to boot still. So, had you always in your mind thought, I would love to do a book on Jack? Was that something that has always been on your mind, or did it come to fruition in the last maybe few years?
Well, it actually, the impetus came on my 49th birthday. I'm now 61 years of age. So it was 12 years ago that the idea came in my head. And it was because Jack sent me a lovely note on my 49th birthday, wishing me 49 more years. And it touched me that one of my mentors, one of the people that I looked up to in the industry, took time out of his day to acknowledge me and to wish me a happy birthday and to wish me 49 more happy birthdays. And it was at that time that the seed was planted that I really need to introduce him to a new generation of trainers, because I do a lot of speaking in the industry, and I talk about legacy and leaving a mark in the industry for the next generation. And when I talk about legacy, I would always mention Jack's name. And when I would look out into the audience, I would notice that about half of them had no idea who I was talking about.
Wow,
And
really?
that bothered me
It should,
because
because he's a staple, and I mean, he's the father. I
the
mean,
pioneer.
right.
He is the godfather of fitness, and the younger generation of trainers have no idea who he is. And so it was at that time that the seed was planted that I really needed to do something. As Elaine and I got to know each other better through the years, and then we were both inducted into the 2017 class at the National Fitness Hall of Fame. Um, I asked her if she would be interested in doing a project with me that would reintroduce Jack to the industry, and let the young trainers know and coaches know from where this industry came. And she was very excited to do that because, as she mentions in the book, um, that she turns 96 years of age tomorrow
That's right.
on March 19th. And her desire, her wish was that Jack, and his legacy would continue. And that was something very important to her. So I think that the stars just aligned. And I'm a person of faith, so I don't believe in coincidences. I believe that there's uh, someone up above watching over us and
I
bringing
think
us
I
together.
believe that too.
Yeah, and so I don't think it was a coincidence or fate. I think it was the Lord's hand in this that brought us together to do this, to share Jack's legacy with the next generation. And we're just thrilled to officially launch the book on Tuesday, March 22nd, 2022. And I think it's a game changer for the industry. I think his impact will be felt for many generations to come. And just thrilled to have been able to do this project with Elaine, the First Lady of Fitness, who also is a pioneer in her own right, a
Mhm.
pioneer in the broadcast
Right.
industry back
Right.
into the 1940s. Now, think
Right.
about that.
She
And
told me
that's,
that she had told me that because, I have a radio show also,
yes,
and when we had visited at her house, she had said, I started in radio." I says,
yeah.
"I didn't know that."
Yeah, she's a
You know?
broadcast pioneer in radio and television, and that's where she and Jack met, was on their TV show back in the late 40s, early 50s. And then that turned into the Jack LaLanne show, and the rest is history. But yeah, she is a pioneer in her own right.
When Sarah and I went to go visit her, she had also showed us a canister of their first, protein drink
Yes.
that they sold to Carnation.
Well, instant breakfast, it was Jack LaLanne's instant breakfast that they ended up selling to a company that was, I think, acquired by a Carnation. But yeah, it was, everyone knows the term Carnation instant breakfast, but it was
Sure.
Jack that created that. And we talk about so many of his firsts that he created in the book. Um, I mean, it just really is amazing when you look at the list of things that he is responsible for that we use every day in every gym around the world.
Now, if
The
I'm not mis
selector weight piece of equipment, he invented the selector weight unit. He invented the leg extension, the leg curl, the squat machine, which we now call the Smith machine.
right.
And the crazy thing is, he didn't have the business acumen at that stage because, he opened his first gym at age 21, just before his 22nd birthday. And his mission was solely focused on helping others, that he didn't think to patent all those inventions. And that wasn't what he was thinking about. He was just focused on his mission of helping people help themselves through
Sure.
exercise and nutrition.
Well, the other thing is I think at the time he probably was probably really the only one that reached the masses the way that he did, and I don't think anybody ever imagined, uh, that we would be where we are. Well, I would say we're in a decline in the fitness industry right now. I mean, it is what it is. I hate to say that, but, I think the '80s were probably a good peak area of time, and then after that, I don't know what happened, and then you throw the pandemic in, and, now people one thing I will say, and I had this discussion with somebody yesterday, there was probably a record amount of home gyms that were developed during the pandemic.
Definitely. Yeah, there definitely were. And now that is starting to kind of wane a little bit because people now want that connection, with others.
Sure.
Um, but what's interesting, how popular um, online training is and virtual training is. But if you think about Jack, he was the original virtual trainer
Mhm.
because when he started his show in 1951, think about that. 1951, he went on TV and created a following of millions um, through virtual training. And people talk about it being revolutionary today because of the pandemic and virtual training. But man, he was there in the 1950s, the early 1950s. So virtual training has been around for a long time, thanks to Jack LaLanne.
Of course. So, usually when you go into a project and you do research, you find little nuggets of things that maybe surprise you. Is there one thing that comes to mind that you can say, "Well, I didn't know this until I started researching and I was just blown away by this"?
Well, yeah. Again, I thought I knew a lot about Jack LaLanne until we went down this path with Elaine because Elaine lived it, and so I was getting at all that research and firsthand information right from the horse's mouth, so to speak, because she lived Jack's legacy and she was part of Jack's legacy. And like you said, she really, without Elaine, I mean, the two of them were such a dynamic couple. Um, and so I was able to find so much more than I thought I knew. I mean, I thought I knew so much about him, but one of the things, I have been a big advocate of resistance band training, and I had no idea that it was Jack LaLanne that created the first commercial resistance band training program, and it was called the Glamour Stretch. And they called it the Glamour Stretch because it was primarily women that were using it. And then a lot of men started to kind of see the results and they started using it. And then he created, it was the same product, but just for men. And he called it the Easy Way. Resistance band training, we can thank Jack LaLanne for. There were just so many things about him that I thought I knew that, and again, the more I studied and researched, the more I realized how much of an impact he had on my career without me even thinking about it and understanding it until I went back and go, yeah, I got that from Jack and I had forgotten. And yeah, that style of training, that's what I've been doing my whole 40 plus years in the industry. I got that from Jack. So it was just an affirmation of the things that I had gotten from him. And it just was so impactful. His training styles and his methods. He was such a visionary and an innovator it was just very impactful.
So why do you think that he was so unique, and why don't we have somebody more like him around now? I mean, of course, there's only one, but we have a lot of very good, talented trainers, and we talked about, Todd Durkin, of course, he's phenomenal, and and there's some other ones that come to mind, but Jack was very unique. I mean, he was a personality as well.
Yeah, well, I think that was what separated him from all the others was his personality, was his ability to connect with the audience. And again, in mass, it was done through TV, right? That virtual training. He was able to reach the masses. But if you were with him one-on-one, you understood how the magnetism that he had and how he was able to bring you into his world and make you feel part of his world. He had that ability to connect with people, and he was so inclusive. He didn't segment people out. He wanted to bring everybody into his almost, you could call it a ministry, so to speak, because he was the first to work with women and weight training, the first to work with athletes, the first to work with the disabled and weight training. So, he didn't care what color your skin was, if you were a male or a female, if you were able-bodied or disabled. He wanted you as part of, the ministry, so to speak.
Well, you forgot one area of a group that was probably part of it too in some odd way.
And what's that?
Well, he had Happy the dog, so
and Happy, absolutely, absolutely. Happy was a big part of
right
of the TV program, no
I
question.
wonder how many of those people that watched that were women or men. Prefer most of them were women, I would guess. Had their pets with them during that time when they were exercising, and we don't hear about that.
That's exactly, because again, he did bring that together, and Happy was his best friend.
What a great guy. I totally is one of those individuals you just think about all the time, and I miss him.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you do. I mean, he's just a really, that energy and that positive energy that he had. It's just, we need more people like that now.
We do. And again, impact, Todd Durkin always talks about impact, and the original impact guy was Jack LaLanne, because through his impact, we are able to then share with the next generation. And again, the reason behind this project is to show where that impact started. And it started with Jack LaLanne, the godfather of fitness.
Well, I appreciate you in your busy schedule coming on and talking about, we've been wanting to do a podcast with you for a while. I think you did the radio show before.
Yes, we did the radio show.
And we would love to continue to help promote what you're doing, because first of all, you're the real deal. You care, and you do your research. So anything that you do, I know it's really been thought out thousands of times before you've done it. And you're helping people a lot. And I love your energy, and I love what you're doing. And I appreciate your time today.
Well, I'm happy to do it. And let me just share one last thing.
Sure.
Jack LaLanne, what he would tell his mentees was, whatever you have learned from me, pass it on. So that's what my mission is to pass on what I learned from Jack.
You gave me chills when you said that.
Pass it on. Yep.
Thank you so much for being on my show, Greg Justice. And again, the book is called Pride and Discipline, The Legacy of Jack LaLanne. It's coming out on March 22nd. It's on Amazon.
Yes. Thank you very much, Brett. I appreciate it.
It's always good seeing you.
You too. Thanks.
Thank you. Greg Justice, a great guy. And thank you for having him on the show today, Sarah. He was phenomenal. And everybody out there, remember a couple things. The first thing is let's be nice to each other. We can be different and be respectful and not be friends. We can still agree to disagree, and we've got to get back to that level. The other thing is take care of your health, because there's no greater wealth than health. Jack probably said that too, didn't he?
He did indeed. Your health account is like your bank account. The more you put in, the more you can take out.
Take care, Greg.
Thanks.
Everybody have a good weekend. Thank you. Yippee-ki-yay.